Welcome to this virtual workshop. So we're going to go over a different topic. In each one of these, we're going to try and just hit some of the overarching principles. I'm going to let you know what you should be doing or what I encourage people to be doing in regards to each one of these if they're looking to optimize their health and wellness. So let's start off. We're going to get into omegas and fish oil. Brought this up just because 1 in 3 adults is actually taking a fish oil, but we want to make sure that we unveil some of the curtains so that way they're getting the best fish oil possible, because obviously there is an expense that goes to this. We don't want people wasting their money. That's number one. It's very important. So to begin, omegas are actually a group of 3 different types of fatty acids. You have your 3, which is good. Okay, that's commonly associated with a fish oil. You have a 6, which is not great. It's actually connected to causing disease. Those are going to be more of your vegetable oils or your seed oils that have are used to frying foods. That's definitely something that we know that fried food isn't good for you, and it's rooted in omega-6s. It actually causes inflammation in the body, which isn't good. And the last one's an omega-9. And omega-9 isn't bad, okay? But it's not essential, which means that your body doesn't need to have it. Omega-3 is essential, which means that your body needs it and it uses it for a number of functions in your body. But let's just back it up here. Let's look at the where it actually comes from. Let's do the circle of life. So there are 3 different types of omega fatty acids. And again, there are even 3 types of an omega-3 fatty acid. And we'll get into that in the next slide here in today's lecture. So it comes pretty obvious that a fish needs to be able to eat something that has that nutrient in order for them to process it and store it into their body. So that way, as a human individual, we go and eat that fish. And so that way we absorb those nutrients to begin with. So where do each one of these come from? Again, there's 3 different types. One we can actually get when a fish actually eats insects or plankton or other, other small animals. But then the other form is coming from seaweed and algae. So if you are vegan, you can take a fish oil or an omega-3 that is derived from algae or seaweed and be able to get this essential fatty acid as well. So again, the viewing picture on the right, it's just a fish eating a bigger fish, which was eating seaweed. So the bigger the fish and the more fish they eat, there's a higher nutrient content of these fatty acids that we can ingest. Again, these are essential. So why omega-3s? Well, they're again comprised of 3 forms: EPA, DHA, and ALA. EPA and DHA are going to be the big 2. They're commonly seen in just about every single type of an omega-3 fish oil. EPA reduces inflammation, which is good. Okay, that's absolutely important. And it's actually been connected to reducing symptoms of depression. Now, DHA, this actually has to do and makes up with 8% of the brain. So now we're talking about cognitive development and function. That's why it's common to hear that fish is brain food or fish food is brain food in itself. And then ALA, this is part of just normal growth and health of the heart, as well as just impact on the immune system and the nervous system. You've probably seen commercials of taking a fish oil will help with vision. Taking fish oils is great for your cardiovascular health. And taking fish oil is just, I think there are even larger companies that are trying to derive and create fish oil into a single pill. But this is something that it's widely available. It's incredibly cheap. But there are certain things that we got to look out for so that way you're getting the best quality, which is important, so that way your body can absorb it. Now, as I mentioned, these are essential. Okay, this is just how your body uses it. So to begin, as we commented, DHA, it works with nervous system development. So it is actually there to help your cells, and this is where they plugged into, it helps your cells communicate to each other. So you talk about cognitive development, you talk about just the ability to brain optimize its function. You need DHA so that way your cells, your nerve cells, can be talking to each other, which is important. And the other portion as well is EPA, same thing. This is actually comprised into the structure of the cells themselves. So we're talking about function of the cells and function of the body and structures of the cells. So this actually is there to help with the phospholipid layers. That way your cell is properly constructed. And so that way it's replacing a cell that hopefully this new one is healthier than the one before. That's why we encourage people, look at supplementation of fish oil. It's going to help with your current concerns. Again, when we talk with people who are in pain, It's like, hey, your body's just overinflamed. We got to bring this down. Here's a natural anti-inflammatory that your body is going to love. It's a natural antioxidant as well. And that is fish oil. And it's for these two things. It's there to provide structure and function to every single cell of your body and every nerve cell of your body as well. Now, again, this is a virtual workshop, so there is a little bit of a catch here. If you're trying to get credit within the comment section or description of this video, there should be a link so that way you can plug in your information and then put in this code, brain food, so that way you can get credit for this as well. And if you miss this, don't worry, we'll put it at the end. And again, we'll put that link in the comment section as well. So again, your virtual workshop credit code is brain food. Now, jumping back into it, as we had mentioned, fish oil does affect just how the body communicates to each other. And this study done in 2019 was actually able to observe that fish oil does actually impact the nervous system, but also impacts, the immune system. And it was able to help other cells communicate areas where you needed to be able to send certain immune cells to go and attack or repair an area of a blood vessel or the area of a body. So you're looking at the migration of the immune system to help protect itself from invaders, but also from, chronic inflammation as well. So we actually do encourage people that overall, when it comes to supplementation, and this took, I think they did an observation of 3 months. It's definitely something that if you're going to do it, it's not a one magic pill. This is something that has to be taken over time so that way your body can adapt to it and get essentially regulated back to what's considered normal. The second study here actually looked at fish oil and took a group of individuals who have diabetes and dyslipidemia, which essentially is just their best way to say it, is they had bad cholesterol, but that's in a way of saying that they didn't have the greatest balance of cholesterol. So with, again, a 3-month intervention, they were able to observe that overall that they actually had a higher level of good cholesterol versus bad cholesterol, which is good. They also observed too that their A1C reduced as well, was within normal, which again is good. That's something that if you're an individual who may have diabetes or you've seen plenty of commercials, there's always this push for A1C, get it around 7. If you're able to do that naturally using something like an essential fatty acid, that is way more important and better on your body than anything else I can imagine. So when you look at controlling blood sugar, reduction of bad cholesterol, increasing good cholesterol for overall heart health, there's plenty of research here that, again, this study was done in 2020, that fish oil can have a very positive impact. So I encourage you or share this with somebody that you know, so that way they can make sure that they're optimizing their health as well. Now, how much should an individual take? Whenever we recommend to people, we do it based off of body weight. And so with individuals that we know and that works best, we actually look at 1,000 milligrams per 60 pounds of body weight per day. So doing the math itself, you have a 180-pound person, we're looking at 3,000 milligrams per day. It's just what your body needs. Everybody's different. The idea of, everybody's got to have the same thing across the board, we don't recommend that. Patients I have that are 120 pounds, and then patients that I have that are 300 pounds, they have different needs that should also reflect in any type of recommendation of their supplementation as well. But it's definitely something that with this, you want to break it up over time. You don't want to just have and just load your body with 4,000 milligrams of a fish oil. Digestively, your body's just going to absolutely hate it. So we encourage people to break it up throughout the day. If you have 2 or 3 meals through the day, to break that evenly across the board there. Now, if you are against fish oil, but you want to get it from a food source, there's a few ways you can do it, okay? So figure out the math for yourself. If you're looking for and would like to get it from salmon, if it's a wild-caught salmon, about 6 ounces will get you 1,700 milligrams. If it's farmed, it'll give you 4,500. But be weary, and I'll tap on that in just a little bit here. If you love anchovies, 2 ounces of anchovies will give you 1,200 milligrams. 3 ounces of albacore tuna will give you 725. And although it's cheap and a lot of people do kind of opt for it and they feel like they're getting it, unfortunately, that 6-ounce cod fillet is only getting you 275. So we have to look at the fattier fishes, usually the fishes that kind of have more of that orange marbling to it. That is something that is a fattier fish like salmon. That's something we would encourage people to do if you're not looking at supplementation. Now, as I mentioned, a few things. Now, there's 2 different forms, capsules or oils. Capsules are structured in a way that they are, quote, time released, which just means as it's going through the digestive chain, when there's enough gastric acids on the capsule, it'll slowly start to break apart, and then the contents inside will then come out. Sometimes this may cause fish burps because it's a massive amount of fish oil that's just going into somewhere within the stomach itself or just soon after. So fish burps can happen. Individuals that happen to, we tell them just reduce by 1 gel cap. But, again, you have to have a certain amount over time within your day. So just back it off by 1 gel cap, see how your body responds. Now, if you're drinking oils, and on the previous slide, it's 1,000 milligrams is about 1 teaspoon of an oil. Sometimes oil isn't a pleasant experience, especially on the palate, and it has kind of a smell to it too. So it can be a little off-putting. I've actually observed that if you mix that with 2 ounces of water, it actually blocks the smell and makes it easier to be able to quickly drink it. So that is kind of a little cheat in there, that if you are taking oil, it's just you hate it, mix it with some water, and then you'll be able to notice that it's just way easier to ingest and it doesn't smell. And actually the fish burps are observably, markedly reduced as well in that possibility. All right, but what should you avoid? Now, I mentioned farmed salmon has about 4,500 milligrams of a combination of these omega-3 fatty acids. Now, unfortunately, corn-fed or farm-raised will alter and change that level of omegas in the animal itself. So you'll probably see and you'll observe it when you look at a fish oil, when you look at the nutrition label, it may say 1,000 milligrams of omegas, but it doesn't specify which ones. But in the subcategory, it'll probably say omega-3s from that 1,000. There's probably 400 or 500 that is EPA and DHA. That means that the other 400 to 500 that are missing in there are actually coming from that omega-6 category because, again, as we looked at the circle of life, those individuals that are farm raised, unfortunately, are eating more of the cereal type foods or the corn foods. And that is actually changing and denaturing or changing how that fatty acid is being developed. And it's pushing it more to the 6, which is inflammatory. And it's not a 3, which again comes from algae, seaweed, and also insects as well. But algae and seaweed are the top 2. So look at your label. Make sure that it is obvious that a high proportion, if not all of your omegas are coming from 3s and not 6s. But then also look out for oxidation because some of these products, unfortunately, they have to put so much omega fatty acids in there, omega-3s in there, and they know that over time it's going to slowly denature and break down just because that's a natural process, that they still have to put in way more than what we thought was necessary in order for it to properly get to the market and for you to sell it on a timely basis. So there was actually an observation done. This article is from 2022. And they did an independent study, or they reported an independent study that saw that 1 in 5 fish oil products in the US actually are rancid, which means that they're oxidized and they're past their usable shelf life. So it's definitely something that if you're concerned about this, do a science experiment at home. Make sure you have stuff that you can throw away because it may get smelly. Take one of your capsules, cut it open in half, and just put it into or on a paper plate. And if it smells like right away when you open it, if it smells really bad, your product has gone rancid, it's oxidized, it's no longer usable to you, and actually may be causing more gastric distress than otherwise thought. So that's just one way you can do it. But in any case, if you have a good capsule, which means that you cut it, you sit there, you smell it, it doesn't smell bad, because it's exposed to air, it is oxidizing. Don't throw it in the trash in the kitchen, throw it away outside. It does smell pretty bad. So that's just a little tidbit of information for you. So that way you can continue working on the health and wellness and optimizing your health and wellness. So a huge thank you. My name is Dr. Greg. I'm a chiropractor in Maple Grove, Minnesota. Ultimately, we're here to help other people overcome chronic injuries, chronic pain and injuries. So it's definitely something that's looking at a fish oil is something that we encourage all of our patients to do when they start, because not only is it good for your health long-term, but in the short-term concerns, it's going to help with the communication of your cells to make sure that it's marking inflammatory areas. So that way you can help repair the area. And on top of that is an overall something that's going to, as an overall anti-inflammatory to help with the body's healing as well. So there's my contact information. If you have any questions, we'd love to reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. And again, if you missed it, your virtual workshop credit code is Brain Food. Check the descriptions for more information on that. Thank you.